We're going to talk today about tight hip flexors. The hip flexor is the front of our hip, and that can be a painful area for some people, but it also is a huge contributor to back pain for a lot of people. If we think about our hip flexors, what they do is they attach to the front of that thigh, and they actually come through our midsection, they attach to the front of our spine. So if I have tightness there, it definitely affects my back, so the hip and the back are very closely related. Right? When we sit for prolonged periods of time, and our thigh and our trunk are in this L shape, can you imagine how the front of that hip gets short and it gets stiff over time? Right? At the same time, the back of the hip, which is now on stretch, gets weak over time. We sit too much, right? We sit a lot in our society. Our bodies weren't designed for that, but we sit in the car, we sit in school, we sit at our desks to work, we sit at home to watch television, right? We just aren't as mobile as we should, and when we get into that upright position, that might be tightness in the front of those hips when we go to stand up. Right? So a lot of people that have back pain, I suggest you try this. Could be hip pain, could even be outside of the hip pain, could be knee pain that goes on with this, groin pain, but definitely something to consider for back pain patients. So the first position we want to get into is probably the easiest one, is just laying on your back on the bed. And you're going to start with both your knees bent, and then we're going to call my right leg the side that I'm working on. As I bring my leg over the edge of the bed, I might feel a stretch in that front of that thigh. Really, I want to feel a stretch in that the top third of the thigh in the front. If that's not enough, I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring my opposite knee towards my chest, and then again, same position, let that leg hang over the edge, and that should be more stretching in the front of the thigh. If those positions are too much, I can put the left leg down flat, and then go ahead and relax it down. Okay? So that's a pretty good position. That's an easy one where you can just stay, and it can hold there for 2 to 3 minutes as you build up your tolerance to it. The other position that I really love for this is in the half kneeling position. And the reason why I like this position so much is because I can work on activating the back of the hip while stretching the front of the hip. So it wouldn't be ideal to do it on the bed. I would suggest you do this on the floor. Only get on the floor if you can get off the floor. Right? So in this position, a lot of people, they think they want to do is they want to shift forward. That's not exactly the stretch we want to do. What we want to do is stay in this upright vertical position, and then I want to squeeze on this butt muscle, my right leg, and then I squeeze on my butt muscle and I kind of push my hip forward a little bit. I feel that stretch right into the top third of that thigh. I want to hold that, maybe start with 5 or 10 seconds. As I get better at those, I want to be building up to that 2 or 3 minute position, right? Because I want to have prolonged stretch on the front of the hip and strengthening on the back of the hip. Now we can play around with this a little bit because the hip capsule might actually be tight. So to treat some of that, I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to rotate it a little bit. So if I move my foot across my body, same idea, keep this position, squeeze that butt muscle and push that back, and I feel a little bit more on the inside of the front of the hip, right? Or I can rotate my leg towards the outside and again, squeeze and feel that a little bit more in that front of that hip, right? So I can stretch it in a few different ways. We always want to build up our stretch tolerance, but this is a really nice complementary way that we're getting stretching on one side and strengthening on the other side. This will be good for back pain patients, hip pain patients, groin patients. Try that out, see how it goes. Remember, build up your stretch tolerance to over 2 minutes at a time. We don't want to be bouncing on our stretches. We want to get to a position, we want to stay there, we want to hold it.